Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Korean Atlanta Mentorship. And in this video, we're going to review the concept of credit and credit scores and how credit scores aren't really that important when it comes to the context of credit. So if you ask the average person, um, what would they rather have a credit score of 650 versus a credit score of 800? What do you think they would say? They would probably say they want a credit score of 800, but what really matters is what's behind the credit score. So what's behind that number, the content and character of the credit profile. So let's say that somebody, think of credit score as like your weight, right? Some people say, "Oh, I just want to weigh a certain weight," and then that's what matters. But let's say that you did reach your ideal weight, and we'll say it's 160 pounds. Isn't there a difference between someone who's maybe like all muscle versus all fat, or someone who's had a consistent healthy diet and is 160 versus someone who's been, let's say, eating fast food and drinking alcohol almost every single day of their life, right? So it's not just about the weight. The weight gives you an idea of the person's health, and you have to do other things like their count other things like their height and their diet. But the weight itself, it's meaningless. Now, if somebody's, let's say, 10 pounds and is an adult, obviously, or they're severely overweight, they'll give you a picture of their health. But if they're just kind of an ideal weight, and you don't understand the context behind what that number is, it's the same with the credit score. So if somebody asks me, would I like an 800 credit score? That's not really what that matters to me. In fact, if somebody brags to me about having an 800 credit score, that kind of means to me they're uneducated about credit, because what does a perfect credit score mean? It means that you've really never used your credit or have borrowed money. And that's what's more important about credit. See, people in general don't understand that credit is a tool, not a trophy. And they treat it as a trophy and are more concerned about that number than they are borrowing money. And so it's really important when it comes to your credit is, yes, the score does give you a gauge of where you're at, but there's a context behind it. So, for example, I've kind of whited this out. Let's unwhite it. So let's do this. So I remember one time in my life, and this was not even almost a year ago, where I had a score of 7 something, and then it went down to 650, and now it's back at 7 something, like 720 again. But even though I had a score of 650, I was able to borrow $160,000 easily in credit cards, right? So who cares about my score? What matters is the context of the score. Because I used and borrowed the money, yeah, my score went down, but who cares? But there are people with the 800 score, and so what happens is that, yes, they have a great score, but they only have a $10,000 credit card limit. And so which one would you prefer in this instance? Would you want the 650 score or the 800 score? And so you can see now that the score isn't really that important compared to the context and the reason behind the score. Same thing with weight. It's not just about that number when you reach the weight, it's how did you get there, right? So my score went down because I was just doing a fix and flip and using most of my credit cards to fund the fixes and redoing the house. But if I wanted peak credit, I would have never borrowed the money, right? Because when you use your credit, especially personal credit, because I'm still trying to get business credit right now, your score is going to go down. And I didn't care for 650. That's the purpose of credit, so I can borrow money. I cared more about borrowing money than I did having that perfect credit score. So this is one of the reasons why we say that the credit score kind of matters, but it really doesn't matter. It's more about the context of what that score is for. And so if you take a look here, I took a screenshot of the FICO score behind I'm able to get with one of my credit card accounts. And as you can see, it tells you the reasons why, let's say this is good, no, lots of accounts, length of credit, low inquiries. So if these criteria uh, are essentially in the green or in favor of what, let's say, the lenders are looking for, yeah, they'll have a good score. But sometimes there are certain reasons where if you do borrow the money, it may go down. If you apply for credit, it may go down, but that's something that you do actually want. In those instances, because you do want to borrow money and you do want to use it, it will go down, and that's okay. So don't be too obsessed about the credit score getting to 800. Care more that you have the ability to borrow. And that's essentially what you have to care about, which is the profile itself and not the score. The score is somewhat of a gauge. It tells you where you are, but unless there's an actual context behind the score is pretty meaningless. Okay, so this is Crane Atlanta Mentorship. Hope you learned something about the context of credit scores. If you have any questions, please leave them below in the comment box. If you're interested in joining our group, go ahead and click the link to the Google form below, or you can email us in the by finding out our email in the About section of the YouTube channel, and you can just send us a holler there. Okay, have a great day, everybody, and we will speak next time.